stubborn structure in our country. Imagine today, even though we divide Nigeria 100 times, there will still be a problem. So don't think, we are agitating to divide Nigeria into 4 parts. There will still be a problem. No one is righteous in this life. So the only thing we need is coming together, unified, and try to understand the differences why he or she acting this way. Then we can eradicate it, know how to fix it.
Nigerians, you should know that the oil wealth in Nigeria is not yours, it is ours. In the past, we used to give you something called a subsidy, but now we have removed it. Don't rely on us to say that democracy is not the only thing that will happen. The one we want to be the leader among. You will be the one who will be the leader. You won't ask yourself why your oil refinery isn't working. And why don't you ask yourself how much regional oil you are extracting yourself? Why did we say that? When Aliko Dangote finished his oil refinery, he would not be sold any oil. If the fuel is yours, why not pay cheaper in your own country? So, it's not yours, it's ours. If you stand up and demand your freedom, stand up. If you don't stand up, we will continue to take your wealth. Don't fool yourself. Where are the Nigerian youth? What are you doing? Where are the Nigerian soldiers? You won't ask yourself why there is a Boko Haram conflict. Why don't you ask yourself why Zamfara is in conflict with other regions in northern Nigeria? Your places are your people. So, how many of your companies are capable of extracting oil? Why don't you pull yourself together and tackle what's in front of you? Do you think we will help you just like that?
Everyone talks about Nigeria's oil. The noise, the headlines, the scandals. But what if I told you, while we watched the oil wells, something else was disappearing? Gold. And not just a little, a fortune. From Zamfara, Osun, Niger, untold reserves, quietly stripped from the earth. No media coverage, no government audit, no record of export. So where is it going? And more importantly, who's taking it? In 2019, the government suddenly banned gold mining in Zamfara. The official reason? Security. But behind the curtain, foreign companies began to appear. Locals were chased off the land. Entire communities silenced. Then, gold started vanishing. No receipts, no trace. It never touched a national vault, never entered a public account. And here's the most suspicious part. We don't even know how much gold Nigeria is losing. Why? Because no one's allowed to ask. While we argue about fuel prices and oil theft, airstrips in remote areas stay busy. Helicopters fly without flight plans. Gold is moved at night, and nobody can explain where it's going. Ask the government, they'll say classified. Ask the locals, they'll whisper white trucks, no plates, guards with foreign accents. You're being distracted. They made oil the spectacle. But gold was the secret. And it's being drained while we look the other way. So ask yourself, how do you lose a country's gold without anyone noticing?
If you compare Nigeria to other African countries, you will see that you find it difficult to say that this was a national leader in Nigeria that attempted to bring the country together. I said, for young people, we should know that this issue of tribe and religion These are major setbacks for this country. If somebody is holding a political office and he wants to give appointments, you begin to see that Mrs. A knows the issue better than Mrs. B. And if Mrs. B is from his own tribe, you want to use Mrs. B. It's like saying, oh, you have a fight that you need a lion to fight. But that lion is not from your tribe. Then you say the cat. Then you say, after all, both of them are carnivorous animals. They are carnivorous. When you bring the cat to do the job of a lion, it's not possible. The cat is just a carnivorous animal. Yes, carnivorous. But the cat cannot do the job of a lion or a tiger or a leopard. So, but that is what happens in a system where people tend towards their tribe. And that's one of the banes of Nigerian politics. The leadership recruitment process is skewed along tribal interests, along religious interests. So you see how difficult it is to get the best. If people are contesting election, even as a president of a country or as a governor in the various states, I don't want to mention states. There are some states that if you come from some part of the state, you can never be the governor of the state, even if you are the best material at the time. In Nigeria, if you want to contest election, they first know, is it our turn? Is it their turn? Is it the turn of the Muslims? Is it the turn of the Christians? So this creates problem to recruit the best material. But you are not assessing the person you want to recruit to the leadership position based on competence. You assess the person based on how he worships his God, or from the part of the map of the country the person comes from.
They can't even control.
So these are the issues. So, but the key thing is, if the younger people can begin to gradually downplay the issue of religion and religion in the politics of Nigeria, the leadership recruitment process will improve. We'll begin to recruit people better. Nigeria today, we're divided along religious lines, and it worries me. And if we don't make any changes, which is difficult to make, it may continue even to your grandchildren, because we started wrongly, and there's no real effort to make sure we change, and it's a major problem today.
Security votes, the secretive cash allowances paid monthly to governors, is one of the darkest arrangements in Nigeria's public finances. No audits, no breakdowns, no questions asked. The provision is so loose, a governor can cash out billions without technically breaking the law. Transparency International says Nigeria spends over 300 billion naira a year on these allocations, more than the combined budgets of the Army, the Navy, and the Nigerian Air Force. Officially, they are for security. In practice, they are off-the-book slush funds, spent at the governor's discretion on anything from genuine threats to political convenience. In the 2024 Corruption Perception Index, Nigeria ranked 140 out of 180 countries, scoring just 26 points out of 100 among the most corrupt public sectors on earth. Globally, Nigeria stands alone. In the US, the UK, South Africa, Ghana, and Kenya, security budgets are tied to agencies, projects, and subject to legislative oversight. In the Philippines, confidential funds must be justified to Congress every year. In Indonesia, governors can access operational funds, but they are capped and tied to specific programs. Only in Nigeria do huge unaccounted cash allocations go directly into elected officials' hands. Since the 2023 fuel subsidy removal, FAC allocations to states have jumped to over 60%. In 2024, states scored 5.81 trillion naira. But the killings, the kidnappings, the armed attacks haven't stopped. They have multiplied. In Osun State, for example, Governor Ademola Adeleke's allocations one hit 600 million naira monthly. That's 7.2 billion naira a year and 28.8 billion naira over a single term. For many states, it's a quiet way to recoup campaign spending. Some governors, especially those in states battling major security crises, they collect over 1 billion naira a month in security votes. Now, under Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution, governors are required to protect citizens' welfare and abolish corruption. This includes explaining how they spend security votes, a fund that in 2021 alone saw state and local leaders collect over 375 billion naira. Two petitions filed with the EFCC and the ICPC now accuse a former South-South governor of diverting 4.5 billion naira in security votes meant for the Army, the Navy, and the Civil Defense, as well as the DSS. The anti-graft group NACAT alleges that funds allocated in just 6 months never reached the agencies. Allocations included 500 million naira for the Nigerian Army, 480 million naira for the Navy, 490 million naira for Civil Defense, and hundreds of millions of naira more to other security outfits. 2 questions should keep Nigerians up at night. 1. What exactly has the security votes achieved when bandits and kidnappers still operate with impunity? And 2, why pay governors extra for security when they do not control the police or military, which the federal government already funds? Now, private companies are also pressured in to chip in, and still, governors take home over 300 billion naira a year in security votes. This system was born under General Yakubu Gowon during the Nigerian Civil War, a tool to guarantee loyalty from military governors and elites. Over 4 decades later, it still survives, untouched, opaque, unaccountable, and disconnected from any real improvement in public safety. For Transparency International, SERAP, and other watchdogs, the answer is clear. Audit the funds, publish the records, and redirect them to agencies that actually keep Nigerians safe. And for ordinary Nigerians, security votes are not just a line in the budget. They are a reminder of how public office can be turned into a personal ATM, while the rest of the country pays the price in blood.
I, a member of this house, collect basic salary of 2.5 per month, furniture allowance 7.5 million per month, newspaper allowance 1.2 million per month, wardrobe allowance 621,000 per month, recess allowance 248,000 per month, accommodation allowance 4.9 million per month, utility allowance 828,000 per month, personal assistant allowance 621,000 per month.
Yes, I want to believe that you all heard what this lawmaker said. Alright, so let's do the math together. So he said his salary per month is 2.5 million naira. Right? So when you multiply 2.5 million naira by 12, that is 30 million naira. Okay? This is what he earns in 1 year. This is what the Nigerian lawmaker earns in 1 year. Then furniture allowance is 7,500,000 naira per month. That is, they ought to be changing their furnitures every month. Okay? When you multiply 7,500,000 by 12, you get 90 million naira. This is what they earn in 1 year for furniture. Then newspaper allowance is 1.2 million. Alright? Yes, newspaper allowance every month they are being given 1.2 million. So when you multiply 1.2 million naira by 12, you get 14,400,000. This is what a lawmaker in Nigeria earns every year for newspaper, as newspaper allowance. Then we have wardrobe. Wardrobe allowance is 621,000. All right, 621,000 multiplied by 12 is 7,452,000 naira. Okay, so every month a lawmaker in Nigeria is giving 621,000. For wardrobe. Then you have recess allowance, 248,000. So when you multiply 248,000 by 12, you have 2,936,000 naira. So a lawmaker in Nigeria is being given 2,936,000 naira as recess allowance. Okay, we have accommodation. Every month, a lawmaker in Nigeria is being given 4,900,000 naira for accommodation. That is every month. They ought to pack out from their house and move to a new house. Then when you multiply 4,900,000 by 12, you get 58,800,000 naira. Okay, so a lawmaker in Nigeria earns 58,800,000 naira as accommodation allowance. Then we have utility. Utility here is 828,000 naira. When you multiply 828,000 naira by 12, you have 9,936,000 naira. Okay, so every month, a lawmaker in Nigeria is given 828,000 naira for utility. Then we have personal assistance allowance. That one is 621,000 naira. Multiplied by 12, you have 7,452,000 naira. So when you total all this figure, you see that a lawmaker in Nigeria earns annually, the total figure a lawmaker in Nigeria earns annually is 221,016,000 naira. So annually, a lawmaker in Nigeria earns 221,016,000 naira. When you multiply by 4, it is 884,064,000 naira. But these are people that cannot pay 62,000 minimum.
Alright, then someone said here, and I am on my knees. I am begging Nigerians, the presidents, the senators, the members of House of Reps, every other person in Nigeria, whatever we have done that are evil, whatever we have done as a result of our job, as a result of the constitutional duties given to us, that we have offended them, they should forgive us and prepare us our entitlements. I wish most of us we cannot be done home any longer. We are not needed any longer. We are not counted as human beings any longer. Majority of us here are graduates. Majority of us are master's degree holders. Yet, there's nothing for us to write about. Our children are there, our grandchildren are there. They are looking for help from us. But we cannot render any this help any longer. Unto them, I am a retired deputy senator. I am receiving 1.7 million naira. Yes, 1.7 million naira. And then that was given to me after 13 months. I stayed good 13 months before that money was given to me. And then every month, 41,000 naira. Every month, 41,000. Please, I need the president to help us and to forgive us. Nigeria forgive us and then our life. Sorry, madam, sorry. Why are you weeping? Sorry. Why are you weeping?
I'm a widow. My husband dies almost 5 years.
Your husband is a police officer too?
No.
You are a police officer?
No.
Okay, are you a retired police officer?
Yes.
You are a retired police officer?
Yes.
Yeah, very nice.
I lost my husband almost 5 years.
It means you are a retired officer and a widow.
Yes.
With the children to care for?
Yes.
After the demise of your husband? 5 children.
Even my last daughter yesterday when I passed, she requests money from me. Rent money is 250,000.
How much are you going to be giving and how much are you giving?
I'm giving 22,000. So I will start. I went to my daughter yesterday before I was to this place. So every month I'm receiving for 5 days 22,000.
This man has casted the whole Africa. You need to watch and share this content. Me, I will come back to come and say some more.
If you're not African, please scroll. And if you're African but religion has made you deaf to logic, please scroll as well, because what I'm about to say will not massage your religious ego. You will bruise it instead. You will confront the spell under which you live. Prayer doesn't change nations. People do. Systems do. Leadership does. Education does. And until we Africans understand that, we'll keep kneeling while the world keep building. Aren't you tired of watching the continent with the most prayer warriors languishing in abject poverty? Aren't you tired of binding imaginary demons while our real enemies, poverty, illiteracy, corruption, and tribalism, walk free? My mother lives in a crescent about 600 meters long, and in that 600 meters, there are 3 churches, not a single school, not a clinic, not a drainage system. We are overcharged and underdeveloped. You fast, pray, cast and bind and wait for miracles, while nations that don't even believe in your God are sending rockets to space. America didn't become a superpower by prayers. They built systems, embraced education, invested in science, and created policies. The Middle East didn't become rich through night vigil. They mastered oil, trade, and geopolitics. They invested in infrastructure and innovation. And China? They don't know Jesus. They don't know Muhammad. They know strategy. they know discipline, they know nation building. But here we are, Africa, the most prayerful continent on the surface of the earth, but the least developed. If prayers alone changed people and nations, Africans will be the richest and Africa will be heaven on earth. So let's take the modern African church has become a business center, selling you oils, promises, and fear while you hand over your bank account. You don't need deliverance. You need discipline. You don't need prophecy. You need productivity. You don't need a 40-day fast. You need a 40-year plan. We have the Congo Basin, the second largest forest in the world, but yet we import toothpick. If that doesn't tell you the level of our sheepishness, nothing else will. So instead of building another church, build a school. Instead of going to another Bible or theological school, go to a technical school or learn a trade. Instead of giving your last money to a pastor, save it and start a small business. Instead of waiting for divine connections, go out, network, and build real ones. Instead of praying for good leaders, start voting with your brain, not your religion or tribe. Instead of casting out demons, start casting out ignorance, because God isn't the problem. You are. He gave you hands to walk, not just to clap. A brain to think, not just to bow. A voice to speak truth, not just to scream amen and hallelujah. So here's the truth. Faith without sense is continued slavery. Religion without reason is mental colonization. And any spirituality that makes you passive while others build, it's not divine, it's a trap. I'm asking you to abandon your faith even though I may not share the same. I'm saying stop using it to excuse laziness, stupidity, and silence. God gave us the tools, but we're so obsessed with heaven that we can't even fix the hell we currently live in. Africa doesn't need more churches. Africa needs more thinkers. And until we realize that, we will keep screaming amen and hallelujah while the rest of the world keeps shouting science, technology, AI, robotics, commerce, and geopolitics.
Now, you have heard. If all the countries in Africa can take this very video seriously and eventually put this man's ideas into proper use, Africans will stop jackbarring to other countries. Me personally, I completely agree with everything that man said in that content. Share this content till it gets to the African authorities. The time to fix Africa is now. The time to fix Nigeria now. Let's make Africa great again. Share this content to your government in your country.
Nigerians, I will speak, even if today is the last day I will spend in this world. I want you to know that the battle Asiwaju is fighting to rid this country of endemic corruption is a battle that cannot be left in his hand alone. Every head of parastatals in Nigeria must stand up to let him know the rot in your own establishment. I tell you, NDIC stinks. There's a lot of rot going on. They say when you fight corruption, corruption fights you. Now the document you see in my hand is one of the ways the corruption engineers in Nigeria are fighting back. You know, each time you say you want to have a true change, like the one brought about by President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you will have the change champions who will support him, but you have the change skeptics and the game changers who will frustrate all his effort to rid Nigeria of this mess. Now, this is the purported new act of the NDIC, and I tell you for nothing, this is Emefiele's act. I tell you because here they have taken away the powers of Mr. President in respect of the NDIC. Let me start by telling you the mandate of the NDIC. The NDIC is set up as an independent agency of government to ensure that depositors' money is protected in all the banks and all financial institutions, to protect it so that Nigerians can be protected from the misbehavior of bank directors, whether in conspiracy with the CBN or when they are acting alone. That is why the NDIC has been set up as an independent body to ensure that depositors do not cry even when banks fail. So there are 4 mandates. The first mandate of the NDIC is to guarantee Nigerians who have deposits in all these banks that relax, be calm, your deposit is safe. Number 2 is to inspect the banks, because prevention is better than cure. To go around the various banks and ensure that the banks are not messing around with depositors' fund, to ensure that creditors are, those who are borrowing money from the banks are those who have the capacity to pay, and to ensure that the bank is run in the right way to bring about the happiness and the wellness of depositors. That's our second mandate, to go to the banks and ensure that we prevent collapse. Now, the third mandate is whenever the central bank eventually declares that a bank has failed, the NDIC, without interference of anybody, should go there and resolve what is happening. What do? You begin to gather the data of depositors with the aim of ensuring that depositors get the sum that is meant for them. For example, if a microfinance bank fails, for instance, we first pay them 200,000. Even if they have more than that, we are going to liquidate the assets of the banks. We are going to go after those who are owing the bank, and we are going to now make sure that we pay back the balance. But I tell you, that is not what is happening now. The cabal have taken over NDIC, and they took this particular act to the former President Buhari 48 hours to his leaving office. They knew at that time that the man was so busy and he would not be able to read everything they have put here. Therefore, they got him to sign it. Now, I tell you another thing. Another fraud was committed. This document that was signed is materially different from the vote and proceedings of the National Assembly that passed it. When I was appointed, I told all Nigerians, I am not celebrating. I am going to be part of those who will work with Asiwaju to rid this country of mess. Do not congratulate me until I have left NDIC better than I met it. Therefore, no sooner than we were appointed by the president, waiting for confirmation, they quickly introduced a new bill, a law that will truncate everything that we wanted to do. So I participated in the House, in the National Assembly, because as a lawmaker, I am a lawyer of over 30 years at the bar. So I know that whatever is passed by the National Assembly and assented to by the president will be what my board will implement. So I was interested in every detail of what they were passing. My God, what has happened now is completely different from what was passed. Let me tell you, not all Nigerians are corrupt. The National Assembly still has so many senators who are men of integrity. The House of Representatives, not all of them are corrupt. There are men of integrity. They knew at that time that if they introduce this section that I'm about to talk about to them on the floor, they will vote against it. So what did they do? It was hidden somewhere. It was not part of what was passed by the National Assembly. The National Assembly passed a board that will have the representatives of the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria to pretend over the affairs of the NDIC, to ensure that the NDIC is able to discharge its duties. Now, it also gave Mr. President the free hand to appoint competent Nigerians who are capable of becoming managing directors and executive directors. You know what they have done now? They have tied the hands of Mr. President, and they said only someone recommended by Emefiele alone can be the managing director or the executive director. You know, in the previous act, Mr. President has the freedom to appoint any competent Nigerian to superintend over the affairs of the NDIC. Now, when the National Assembly passed, when I have the vote and proceedings of the Senate, the original vote and proceedings, you know, I understand that they are trying to doctor and I call this clerk of the National Assembly, don't let them put your name in a mess. Some workers are compromising, don't allow them. They forget that the vote and proceedings is in the hand of 109 senators. So if you doctor one, you cannot doctor all the others. The vote and proceedings is in the hands of 360 House of Representative members. Because I participated, I was there. So I have the clean copy which preserve the right of Mr. President to appoint managing director without recommendation of CBN governor, to appoint executive director without recommendation of CBN governor, which allows the 6 geopolitical zones to be represented. You know what they have done now? They have removed the representatives of the 6 geopolitical zones. They have now fraudulently made the permanent secretary, who does not have time to be the chairman of the board. How can the permanent secretary be a judge in his own cause? That is the ministry supervising the affairs of NDIC. How can the head of that ministry also be the head of NDIC? Do you know why? I visited the permanent secretary and he told me that, Honorable Latif, I am telling you, I told them several times, do not make the mistake of making me the chairman of the board. I have 1,001 things to do as the permanent secretary, Ministry of Finance. I have 36 commissioners of finance waiting for me at Hilton. I have so many things to do. They know that I will not have time to participate so that they can do all the mess they want to do. Secondly, do you know what they have done in this act that is annoying? They have killed the career progression of all the 1,600 workers in NDIC. How can you say that somebody who is working as a teacher should not have the hope that one day I will become the principal? So what they have done here is that no worker, no director in NDIC can ever progress to become executive director, to become the managing director, because they said even if you work all your years in the NDIC, only the central bank can appoint and recommend who should be the executive director or managing director. NDIC is an independent body from the central bank. Central bank should be in charge of their own executive directors. They should not truncate the career of 1,600 Nigerians. Now there is protest among the workers. Now they have demotivated the staff. They have demoralized the staff. There's no way they can ever rise. I call on Mr. President never to act on this. And I tell you what is worse. Which one is affecting depositors? The one that is affecting depositors is that NDIC will no longer be able to make depositors smile. I tell you for nothing, I have thousands of petitions on my table by Nigerians who are owed by the NDIC, who find it difficult to claim their rights from the NDIC. They are frustrated. As I speak, they can come out, because the NDIC has so many useless sections here. The sections that say if you don't come and claim your right between so time, the NDIC will become the owner of your money. It is there. How can you say a microfinance that is closed? And now say, how do you now get these depositors to come and collect their money? You say you are using town crier in today Nigeria to go and tell people in the village that all of you who have money in Uganda microfinance, come and collect your money from NDIC, when they have phone number that you can call. So you are denying Nigerians trillions of money, and I will not accept it. My board will not share kobo. I think of my grave, I think of my Lord. I want, if I'm removed tomorrow, I don't care. But this law now has removed the independence of the NDIC. Do you know how? Now the former law says NDIC shall be free to go and investigate, the banks. Now this law says NDIC can only go and investigate banks if central bank approves. This section, before, if NDIC realizes that you are supposed to collect your money, NDIC should be able to pay you free. Now there's a section which says even when the bank suspend payment to you and NDIC is supposed to pay you, NDIC should go and get the approval of central bank before NDIC can pay you. This is corruption. You do not need the approval of central bank if you say NDIC is an independent agency. So today there are 35 sections here that are put there by corruption engineers in Nigeria, where they are saying for NDIC to do this, it needs the concurrence of central bank. For NDIC to do this, it needs the concurrence. Let me tell you, Nigeria of yesterday is different from Nigeria of today. Asiwaju is determined. Asiwaju is bold. He has the courage to lead this country, but he cannot do it unless the heads of agencies and parastatals are ready to stand the test of time. Tell off anybody. You remove me, I don't care. Who am I? So long as you don't remove me from worshiping my Lord, you cannot do that. So what you are saying currently is that people think it's because it affects. It did not affect our tenure. It's because they are not lawyers. No wonder there are thousands of petitions right on my table. Do you know what they do? Among the so-called microfinance bank that they said have failed, it is a fraud. Many of these banks that have been closed are liquid, they are viable. Many of them are owned by Nigerians who wanted to assist the poor, but these people, out of their fraud, they closed them. And there are sections under the new law by which they can take over their property, by which they can transfer their deposit to their own, microfinance institutions. I tell you, Nigerians, let's cry out. Let's cry for this nation. Let's cry. There's corruption. I will act and support the current government to rid that institution of corruption. I don't have the power of media. I don't have the power to pay people, but I trust you as Nigerians. You will share this to ensure that all Nigerians are carried along and to know the evil that is happening. This one is toying with Nigerians, poor people who pay into the banks. You will not be able to collect your money out of no fault of your own. Now our job is to make sure you are happy, but now they want to make you sad. They want to make you frustrated, even over your money. It will not happen. May God bless Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. May God bless all of you who are change champions. Nigeria will not be the same again. It's a renewed hope, and we shall win. Thank you.